Okay, so we are continuing with the Menopause Summit. The title of the summit is Real Talk, What Your Mother Didn't Tell You. And I have a very special guest here. I have been watching her from a distance for a long time because she has amazing information about hormones. And her name is Deborah Maragopoulos, if I said that correctly.
Very good.
And she's a family nurse practitioner. So Deborah, would you introduce yourself?
So my name is Deborah Maragopoulos. I am an integrative family nurse practitioner, which basically means I blend conventional medicine and alternative medicine. I've been practicing for over 30 years, and my focus has been women's health. And the majority of my patients are perimenopausal, menopausal. So this is the perfect arena for me. And my goal with my patients is really to, and with my clients, because I also have clients as well and customers, is really to help them, empower them through menopause and help them get their hormones in harmony. And I know that sounds crazy because when you're in menopause, your hormones are plummeting, they're bottoming out, but it's totally possible. And I've seen it personally, as well as with my own practice. So, but I have gone through all the phases myself. I'm 61 now. I started perimenopause about 49. And really, I think if I hadn't been following what I call my own menopause action plan, and we'll talk about that a little bit more in the end, I would not have been able to get through menopause as gracefully as I've been able to get through it. But I wanted to be sure I was all the way through it before I really started, focusing on it and lecturing on it, because it's hard to tell the story if you haven't experienced it. So in the beginning, it was, I got to say, there was a hormonal roller coaster to the point where, for me, the way the hormones affect me when they bottom out is I get grumpy, I get irritable, I get a little moody, and sometimes you can't really see yourself doing that, right? So it was my husband, and I'm a hormone expert. I mean, I've been doing bioidentical hormones forever, and people come from around the world to see me for the, the top level therapies. But it was my husband who took me by the hands when I was about 49 years old and said, "Sweetheart, if you were your own patient, do you think you would give yourself some hormones at this point?" So that started my journey, personal journey into bioidentical hormones on top of everything else I was doing to support me through the process of going through this hormonal roller coaster called the change. So it's been a roller coaster. It's been amazing. On this other end, I'm now postmenopausal as of the last 2 years. And I got to say, there's so many gifts in menopause, so many.
I totally appreciate you saying that, because there is a stigma out there and women don't want to acknowledge the fact that they're in perimenopause or even have a conversation about menopause, which is the purpose of me doing this summit. So one of the questions I have for you, Deborah, is when did you first hear about perimenopause or menopause? How was that introduced to you? Is this something that was from your mother? Did you have to find out on your own by accidentally stumbling into it? Tell me about your experience before you came into this space as a medical practitioner.
Well, I've been a medical practitioner way longer than I was perimenopausal. I've been a medical practitioner since I was 23. So I came into it because I started treating patients going through perimenopause. So I started recognizing perimenopause when I was in my late 20s in my own middle-aged patients. And at that time, and honestly, even at this time, there's no medical training on menopause and especially perimenopause. So, and when the research kind of plummeted back in 2005, the Women's Health Initiative research plummeted, physicians and practitioners pulled away from supporting women with any kind of hormone therapy and basically started prescribing antidepressants and anti-anxieties. And so I was on the whole other realm. I was like, this is your hormones. This is what's going on. But honestly, until I had my own personal experience of it, did I really appreciate that I needed some hormonal support as well. But I got to say, it was my mom. It was my mom who got me into bioidenticals, because in the beginning, she was going through the change. So I'm in my, late 20s, early 30s. My mom's starting the change. She's 20 years older than I am. She's starting the change. And she loved the estrogen, but the progestin, now these were synthetics. That's what I was into at the time. The progestin was making her crazy. She was really mean and nasty. And she said, I would rather have uterine cancer than feel like this.
Wow.
So find an alternative. So that got me into the bioidenticals, and I started using bioidentical progesterone. And then because I was using bioidenticals with my patient, and the physician I was working with at the time were like, okay, these aren't even FDA approved. I don't know what the heck you're doing. I'm like, to heck with you. I'm going to start my own practice and keep working with these patients because they're doing so well. And this is what they want.
Right, right.
So it was really about developing therapies that were individualized for them. In the meantime, I'm also going through my own hormonal shifts. There's a period called premenopause, which is about 5 to 10 years before you start perimenopause. And it's when your hormones start to get a little roller coastery, and it feels just like more PMS. And for me, I was an athlete, so I had like 12% body fat doing triathlons. So I was making no hormones on my own at all.
Wow.
I was having no periods, and I was at risk for heart disease and osteoporosis, and I was in my 30s. So that's when I actually had my first stint with bioidenticals to try to give myself a period. And it wasn't until I started supporting my hypothalamus nutraceutically with supplementation did I get my own periods back. So literally I had no periods at all from 18 until I was 39. And then I started supporting myself with my nutraceutical, took myself off all hormones, all supplements, boom, 2 months later, I get my periods, and I had regular periods up until 2 years ago, and I'm 61.
Wow.
Okay. That's from the hypothalamus support. So it was a journey. It was a journey. So, my personal journey of going through hormonal challenges, pushed me to develop therapies that would help myself and my patients. And then I opened it up and said, well, maybe other people could use this, and started it on, we had an online market, and then started educating people with videos. I'm like, they need more education, had huge 2,000 word blog posts, and they're not reading this. So then cut it down to 2 to 3 minute videos where you're getting just to the point. I don't care about all those other symptoms. Just tell me about these hot flashes, or why am I having these weird nerve pains in my feet? And so there are so many weird symptoms in menopause that are totally overlooked in medicine.
Right.
Most of the time they think you're crazy.
That's why I love what you do, Deborah, because you said you do these small bites of a video. And I'm the kind of person, I try to do a lot of research, but there's so much information out there, and it's kind of hard to digest if you're not working in that space. This is brand new for some of us. We got introduced to some biology when we were in high school, and that was pretty much it until you went into, maybe pregnancy or something. So going through perimenopause and menopause, this is like, for the average woman, they don't have any idea. You are one of the few that you've had this conversation with your mother, and you're working in this space to try to make a difference. So I love what you're doing. One of the things that I would ask is that as you were working in this field and you found women coming, did they really know that they were in perimenopause, or were they trying to figure out like, something's wrong, help me with this?
Some of them knew, they knew that something was wrong with their hormones. Okay. Mainly because their periods might've been getting a little irregular. Something's off. Okay. But the ones who came in with insomnia and anxiety and depression and the weird nerve pains and the palpitations, and all of a sudden my asthma is acting up, and why am I getting all these weird rashes? And I'm going through their history, and there's not many blood tests. I have no blood tests to prove perimenopause. Okay. It's hard to catch that FSH rising. So I really had no way to tell except for this gut feeling like this is what's going on here. And let's try supporting your hypothalamus. And if that's not enough, let's try regulating your cycles with some natural bioidentical progesterone. And then if that's not enough, let's add a little bit of bioidentical estrogens. And that was the key. I mean, most of my women, my female patients going through perimenopause, and all of my patients are complicated. I don't get the simple, oh, my periods just stopped and I was just fine. I have train wrecks. They have autoimmune disease. They have neurological conditions. They've been, bit by a tick, and they're still, recovering from that. I mean, they're a mess. They have thyroid conditions. They're diabetic, and they're in perimenopause. So when they're going through perimenopause, all those other conditions are getting worse, or they get conditions that they never had before that are kind of underlying. And because of the challenge of perimenopause, which is really your progesterone bottoming out first. Okay. And when progesterone bottoms out, you don't have the adrenal support to produce stress hormones.
Mhm.
So the stressors of your life, and usually perimenopausal women are in kind of a pickle. Oftentimes they're, moving through their profession and they just have a lot on their plate, or they're raising kids and they also have parents that they're taking care of, or grandparents they're taking care of.
Right.
They're that sandwich generation. They're very stressed and they can't handle the stressors like they used to.
Mhm.
They're getting brain fog.
Yeah.
They're not making decisions as quickly. So they're really feeling like this is emotional, and they go for therapy and they go for, mindfulness training, and they, get in something to sleep, and it's their hormones. It's their hormones because they're not producing enough progesterone because they're running out of eggs.
Mhm. Mhm. Correct.
So what I like to do with them is really look at them as a whole picture, see everything that's going on with them that got them to this point, get their hormones in balance, and then kind of wiggle away at all those other health issues that they've been suffering from for years, but they've never really addressed them because they had enough sex steroids to handle most of them. But now that they don't, everything's falling apart.
Gotcha.
So kind of think of your hormones like a pyramid, right? At the bottom of the pyramid are your sex hormones: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone.
Mhm.
Okay. And then you have your pancreatic and your adrenal and your thymus, which produces your immune factors, and your thyroid, which controls your metabolism, your pituitary gland, and then your pineal gland producing melatonin. What controls all of that is your hypothalamus. It's in your brain. It's the master controller. You can kind of think of it as like operating systems for your computer. So all of the hormones that are produced by all of these endocrine glands are software. But without an operating system, software doesn't work, right?
Gotcha.
So once we take away the base software, which are the sex steroids, everything starts crumbling because they all work together. They don't work by themselves. And we know that estrogen affects your neurotransmission, and progesterone provides myelin sheaths to your neurons so that they function faster. So now I'm walking into a room and I can't remember what I walked in here for. Okay. Right. Or, I'm giving a medical lecture and what was that word? So your brain's not functioning as well. You're irritable. So all those things are happening at the same time. And I don't think that women appreciate their hormones. When they're younger and they're hormonally challenged, they blame everything on their hormones. Like, my hormones are off, and my darn hormones. And I want you to see that they work together. Estrogen is your gardener. Estrogen is the fertilizer. So it fertilizes everything. It makes you have lush hair, beautiful skin, plump cells, healthy vagina, moist membranes. Okay. A brain that actually fires. So you can find that information. It keeps your heart healthy. It keeps everything healthy, but it doesn't know the difference between the weed and the roses. That's where progesterone comes in. Progesterone is the gardener. Progesterone knows when your cells have outlived their welcome, like breast cells. Every month when you're reproducing, your estrogen's building them up for potentially getting pregnant. But when you don't, progesterone, when it's done, tells those breast cells, knock it off. It's time to die. We got to start all over again. Same with the uterine cells, the lining. So you need them both. They work together. They work together. And then testosterone, I call the motivator. So underlying, we make the same amount of testosterone all month, but when our estrogen levels fall, testosterone kind of bumps up. So we have these little spikes of extra motivation, and it helps build bone and muscle, et cetera, but it is not the main hormone. And the majority of hormonal practitioners out there that give women hormones will just focus on testosterone and estrogen and totally ignore progesterone.
Okay.
But you must have progesterone. It's protecting everything from estrogen's growth factor. And it also has a calming effect on the body. It helps you produce GABA, which calms down your neurological system. So you need to look at them all. And if you're not looking at them all, you're going to have problems later. You're going to grow things you don't want.
Deborah, I feel like I have been through your class. This is so important because women need to understand how our bodies work. I have a bird's eye view of basic information, but the way you drill down on it and gave the view of the triangle, and it's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I can see this. It makes so much sense. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is that women who find themselves going through perimenopause, menopause, and they don't find someone like you, and they end up in a doctor's office and they're given a prescription like, here's a hormone replacement therapy, or you need this antidepressant, and then they're not really addressing the problem. So this is one of the reasons for this summit. Like, I want to be able to give women some education, clarity, hearing other women who went through this and understanding there are places to go to get support, which is what you do so eloquently. So I'd like for you to talk about the map. I know you got a brand new something to reveal here. I'm so excited to be a part of it. So go ahead.
I'm so excited, Beverly, that you invited me to this, because it literally corresponds. I mean, this is divine orchestration. My next book is called The Menopause Action Plan. Okay. And I know this looks kind of backwards because this is mirror effect, but it is everything I teach my patients to get them ready for menopause and through menopause. It is appropriate if you're premenopausal, perimenopausal, menopausal, or even postmenopausal. I go through everything, how your body works, how the hormones work, basically go help you find out where you are in the change. I help you decide. So you're reading the book and you're looking at, what are my risk factors? You know, what are my risk factors for if I took hormones? What are my risk factors if I don't? What are my chronic illnesses down the line? What does my genetics and my family and my lifestyle have to do with it? My gynecological history. I go through everything. I explain all the hormones. I explain what I call the hypothalamic connection, so that you understand why things are off so much and why you need to support your hormones. And I don't just talk about your sex hormones. I talk about your adrenal glands and your thyroid and your pituitary hormones and your pancreatic hormones. I talk about everything that I talk to my patients about in this book. And then we go through all the therapy options, hormones, whether synthetic, bioidenticals. We go through all the alternative options. And then I give you my 5 pillars of health, which is diet, exercise, sleep, hypothalamic support, and mindset, a healing mindset, which I know you're going through this in the summit. So this is just perfect. And at the very end, I give you tools. And the tools are access. You go back to my website, you get to download free an actual menopause action plan that you can fill out and bring to your healthcare provider and say, I've read the book, or you can join my workshop, or you can get in my MAP group, but you've read it and you know what you want. And you say to your healthcare provider, this is what I want, and I would like to partner with you. And if they don't want to partner with you, then you find another healthcare provider. So this is like having a birth plan when you're pregnant, right? I believe this is going to revolutionize menopause, just like birth plans revolutionized obstetrics. If you come in empowered with your plan, not that you might not tweak it a little bit. I go over every screening test you might need, all the blood work that I would do for my patients. Here's the list. And so you literally get to download the list. Here's the blood work I want. Here's the screening tests I need. And your healthcare provider hardly has to do anything. Just get you what you need. So it's going to be amazing. So exciting.
That's amazing. And I don't know if it's available yet, but I am going to.
It is available. It is available.
I can get mine, because I love the fact that this is like your own personal book to walk you through what's happening. And you have all of these actions to find out what you need to do to get on the other side of this. So please share.
Yeah, so you're going to go to Genesis Gold /MAP, M-A-P. And there is the page where you're going to sign up and go ahead and get the guide, get the book. And at the end of the book, when you're reading it, or you can sign up right there, go ahead and download the template so you can fill in your menopause action plan. But like I said, it's not just the book. You also get free access to my Facebook group, my Menopause Action Plan Facebook group, where there are other women like you asking the same questions. And I will be having some Q&As for those people who jump in and buy the book early, some Q&As where I'm going to talk with you live and answer your questions.
That is so awesome. And I totally encourage women to do this. This is one of the reasons why we're here. We want to empower you. We want to give you some place to go to get results and know what you need to get through this. And this is not something that you cannot go through gracefully. I personally have gone through most of it. I still have a couple of things that I'm dealing with, but I address mine basically by nutrition. That's my biggest focus, is how I eat and what I eat. I stay active, and I try to stay on top of information as it pertains to menopause. So one of the other questions I have for you, Deborah, is how big of a support group are you working with the women? Because I find that sometimes women don't know where to go, and it's just like, there's a couple here, a couple there. I'm sure you must work with hundreds and hundreds of women.
Well, I have different support groups. So I have like a general hormone support group, which has thousands in there that I meet with once a month and answer questions for them. My menopause action plan group is smaller, and I'm going to keep it a little bit smaller. Now, we'll invite everybody that wants to come in, but I also have a workshop as well, which you pay for the workshop, but then that allows people to get a little more intimate interaction with me. The most intimate interaction on a customer basis is I have something called my hormone healing circle, and I meet with them live like this once a week and answer all of their questions. And it's not just about, their hormones or their diet, their exercise. And I know these women intimately because I have them fill out a health questionnaire just as if they were going to be my patient. So I know what medications they've taken. I know their health history. I know that their husband has an issue. I know the kid has an issue. I know that they got stepped on by their horse. I know a lot about them, so that I'm able to really help them go through their issues. So it's an accountability group, but they get access to me. And I have quite a few of my customers and even my patients join this group because they love the other women. These women have been in the group, the core women have been in the group since 2017. They do not want to leave it because it's been so helpful for them through all of their life transitions. And it's not just menopausal women, it's younger women as well that are in there, and along with older women. So the age range is mid-20s all the way into 70s. And they love it, and they are so supportive of each other, and it's fantastic.
This is awesome. So I have a question. I was speaking with a young lady. She is a coach in London, and she is on the nutrition therapy side, and they have a different approach to menopause in their country. And they're working with corporations to give women the support that they need in menopause. And one of the things that she say has recently been introduced is to bring it into the health curriculum in schools. Do you feel like we're missing that here in this country?
Absolutely, because you get educated on puberty, right? In what, 7th, 8th, 9th grade, you got some health classes, but we don't talk about menopause. I think it's a little early in school to be really concentrated. I think it needs to be more in the college realm, but I do think the whole lifespan needs to be talked about. Because I think if the lifespan of your hormones were talked about early on, there'd be a better appreciation in adolescence for perimenopause and also for the elderly. Like the whole lifespan needs to be looked at. This is why grandma is having issues, because she broke her hip, because she developed osteoporosis, because she didn't take hormones or take care of herself when she went through menopause. And now we're having to push grandma in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
So I think if they had that appreciation, they're not going to be able to relate it to themselves quite yet, but it should be covered. Because this is their future. And then the decisions you're making now, if you're deciding not to eat, a calcium-rich diet when you're a teenager, you're not going to build up those bones. If you're going to eat a bunch of junk food, you're going to already start to have cholesterol issues and start to have arteriosclerosis before you're in your 30s. And there's not enough hormones to fix that.
Right.
20 years later.
Right.
So I think they need to see the whole picture, and for them, it's their map of their entire lifespan and what they can look forward to if they take care of themselves now.
So true. And I look at how our menopause stage is in our life, and it covers many, many decades. So the sooner somebody understands as a woman what they need to be doing in their late 20s and 30s to prepare for this transition will not have to be so overwhelming, and understanding how you eat and what you're doing is going to factor into this. What do you think that we need to do as women to shift this narrative? I'm doing my part by holding this summit. What else do you think we can do to shift this narrative?
I think we need to form circles of women, friends, sisters, aunties, women that are going through what we're going through at the same time, and start to have our own little support groups. Okay. And we can do it personally. We can do it like this with, on video, but we need to have support groups, and we can share information, and also share information on where we're getting the best help. Now, a lot of my patients and clients and customers that come to me will say, I joined like an online support group, and all people did on there was bitch.
I know that's
all that's happening. There's no answers in there. So that's not what my support groups are about. Like, in fact, it's not even allowed. If you can't offer a positive comment, we'll give you one chance. We're going to give you, you need to leave. You guys need to be supportive of each other, because we got enough negativity out there. And they are. I mean, I don't think we've exited too many people out of my big group, my, 3,000 something group at all. We haven't had to, because they've been supportive. And then I think it's the energy of the leader of the group too. Right. How positive are you with this? There is hope. We can do this. Here are the resources, and offer them real resources. Not everyone can afford to work with me, but what else could you do? I have all these videos. I've got all these freebies. I literally give away my books.
You do.
When you buy my hypothalamic support, which is Genesis Gold here, I give away my books with it, so that as a guide to help you understand how to use it. Okay. I mean, I want you educated. I don't want you blindly utilizing anything, a supplement, a tool, and not understand why you're doing it. It doesn't make sense. I don't believe in diets per se. It's lifestyle. It's a change in your lifestyle.
Exactly.
So,
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And I love the fact that you say we need to have more conversations. One of the things that I did recently was jumped on Clubhouse, which was a brand new platform for me. And I am working along with a couple of other ladies in a group called the Menopause Journey. And every week we talk about a different topic related to perimenopause and menopause. And it's a safe space where women can have a conversation. It's not recorded, it's just very open. So I'm glad to know that I'm on the right path of trying to establish these venues and spaces for women to be supported, because for me, I don't have any daughters, but because of what I went through, and mine wasn't difficult, but I had to work for it. I had to look, I had to find you online. I had to look and research about menopause and perimenopause, and it should be something that's available much more easily. And for the women who are coming up as wise women in menopause, we should be able to provide that bridge for them. It shouldn't be such a struggle and so difficult. So I love what you're doing, Deborah. You have served me long before our face-to-face meeting here. I love what you do. Thank you for what you do. Your book, I am going online today and getting your book, because I like to have things in my library. Christine Northwood was where my first book came from, my mother learning about menopause, which I didn't read until much later. But I need to have really great resources, and then I can share this with women that I know, like, hey, this is a great place where you can go to get answers. And I'm like you, I don't want to hear the negativity. Life throws you all kinds of things, and you find a way to deal with it and move on. And menopause is nothing different. It's just a stage of life that we can go through elegantly, gracefully, and amazing life can be on the other side.
Oh, it is on the other side. One of the chapters I devote in my map book is called The Gifts of Menopause. And I share my own stories about the gifts I have found, as well as other women. And it's been amazing. It's a mindset to approach it with that. This is an opportunity, and here are the potential gifts of going through this shift and change. Everything to me, what looked like an obstacle to anyone else, I always see as an opportunity. Why is the universe presenting this? Now I know this is a normal biological change, but how can I utilize this for my greatest soul's purpose?
Absolutely.
I think this is an amazing, I have met some amazing women who it's not just another chapter in their life, it's the third book of their life.
Mhm.
So
Well, I am totally in support of what you do. I want to bring that message to the women. I, like you, love this time of my life. I feel like, I have this new opportunity to make life what I want it to be at this point. It's about where I want to go. I've raised the kids. My husband's got his career. It's going well, getting ready to transition. Parents are aging, and it's been a blessing to have aging parents. But right now is my time. I put all of these other people in circles ahead of myself. This is my time. I feel like that's what perimenopause gets you to think about. Like, okay, you haven't been taking care of your body. This is a time, because menopause is where we're going to allow you a period to do just that. So again, Deborah, thank you. If there's any final words you want to share, any information that can support the ladies, I'll let you close out there.
I would just like to share that I'm so grateful to be part of this summit. And I just want you as the audience, and each one of you, to understand that you have choices. And what you choose in each moment shifts your hormones. They are not just a chemical, they're a vibration. And we can rescue them and balance them and get them back into harmony. It does take some work. It does take some work, but it is so worth it. It is so worth it that you will feel better than ever. About, I don't know, right after my mother died, I went to Nicaragua. This was about 7 years ago, and did a medical relief trip. And I was jumping in and out of a truck in the mud, going to see poor people who couldn't get down to the village. Yeah. And there were some teenagers helping us out. And one of them said, "How old are you?" And I was the same age as their grandmother. And I said, "I think I'm as old as your abuela." And they're like, no way. Cause I'm just like bouncing around, jumping around, and it's, age is an energy. It's an energy. The biggest thing I have found with age is I am so much more open to receiving wisdom and so much more willing to share it.
Yes. I love that. I think that's the perfect way to close, because you are doing exactly that. And that's what the summit is about. So ladies, go check Deborah out. And please, if there's anything that we can do to support you, we are here for you. Menopause is a wonderful time of life, and I'm enjoying my time. So thanks.
And we'll get a link down below, right?
Yes, I will be providing all of the contact information
Perfect.
on how to reach you. So thank you again for being here and what you do. So and all the best on the book. I don't think you did it. It's gonna be amazing. I know.
I'm so excited to be able to share this with the world. I can't wait to see these empowered women marching in there and saying, "This is what I want."
Absolutely. Awesome. With that, ladies, go grab your book.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.